Hello. How are we all going? Welcome, everyone. Great to see everyone live in the chat. It's amazing. Good morning if you're in Australia. Good afternoon if you're in the US. We've got New Zealand. Let us know where you're coming in from in the chat. Let us know what country, what suburb. Love to always hear where you guys are at around the world. Love doing these sessions. We've got members now from 21 different countries, which is absolutely crazy. We've got David from Adelaide. Welcome, David. Robert from Colorado. Hey, Dylan from Tassie. Sally from London. Hey, Nico from Dubai. Wow, we get everywhere. Adelaide, Florida. Walter from Florida. Welcome, Barry. Welcome, Rufus. Hey, Sue. Hey, Anita from Toronto. We've got Shane from New Zealand. Hey, Natan from Atlanta, beautiful. Kate from Spain. Deb from Queensland. Link is in the building behind me. That is slightly weird. Welcome to the building behind me. Barry from Sunny Coast. Hello from Toronto, North Carolina. Awesome. We've got about 120 already in the chat. Welcome, everyone. Today's session, we're going to get right into it. We don't have a lot of time to waste. We're going to be talking about positioning your portfolio for the next institutional wave of adoption. I'm going to bring up Travis on the stage as well. Travis is going to be co-hosting today's session with us. Our Chief Growth Officer is also going to be jumping on. If we can bring him up to the stage as well, Josh. Hey, Trav, how are you, mate?
Ahoy, how are we?
Good, man, good. We've got people from everywhere today, but apparently behind me and like and all around the world. So looking, came from the Philippines, Pennsylvania, United States, Florida. Amazing. I'm going to bring the slides up to get straight into it. Today, we've done a full new, fresh, batch of content based on positioning your portfolio for the next institutional wave for crypto adoption. Now, today's session is going to go for 60 minutes, plus we're going to have 30 minutes Q&A time. And we're going to be diving into a range of different things. We know you guys are busy, executives, high net worths, investors. You've got a lot of stuff that you're going on. I want to really make sure we get into the most important stuff. The 5 key takeaways you're going to walk away from today is the 3 institutional signals that really going to help you allow to invest at the right time, understand when to hold, when to take profits, and when to get back in. The exit system, so the exact playbook that we utilize to exit at the right time, to not ride your portfolio all the way down and get out near the peak of the top of the market. Aligning your portfolio like the institutions, all right, and moving away from the retail noise that is, influencers and content online, and really align your portfolio based on what BlackRock are doing, what Fidelity are doing, what family offices are investing in right now. There's actually some data that I want to share with you guys today about how to get access to this that a lot of people are missing. the number one mistake sophisticated investors make, all right, and how that drags your entire portfolio behind, and also how to get a clear roadmap of turning your crypto gains into real world wealth, all right, not just paper gains, but actually how to turn it into property, freedom, legacy, things like that. Before we get started, though, I want to just get an understanding in the chat. If you can let me know, just a yes in the chat if you are, or maybe let's use numbers. It's probably a bit easier. Just let me know, like, number one, if this is your first, I guess, real cycle in crypto. Like, number one, you know, maybe you're brand new to crypto, or maybe you've just been in crypto for the last year or so. Let me know number one. If you've been here for 2 years, give me a number 2. 3 years, 3. Just give me a number that represents how many years you've been in crypto. All right. 1, a lot of new. Yep. New to crypto. Fantastic. First cycle. Brilliant. 3. Okay, cool. That's great. And now also, just to get a better understanding as well, I'd love to know, give me a yes if these things resonate with you, again, just to kind of understand where you guys are at. Information overload. Is information overload a problem for you guys? Give me a yes in the chat, just in terms of crypto. Pamela's been here for 7 years. Brilliant. Is information too much, too overwhelming for you? Yes. Yep. Great. Yep. Walter, yes. Deb, great. Yeah, cool. All right. You can also give me a no if that's not correct either. Next one is just around, you know, missed opportunities or fear of missing out. I guess a fear of missing out what the right investments are. Give me a yes in the chat if that's relevant, or no if it's not. Tan, yes. Funny, yes. Nola, yes. Shane, yes. Yep. Great. Yep. These are the two of the most common things we hear: information overload and fear of missing out, either getting into the right assets or just missing out and not selling at the right time. They're really the big two. And what about, like, in terms of, like, why you guys are in, you know, why you want to either get into crypto or why you're looking to, you know, optimize your portfolio, is out of inflation protection, or let's say just to grow your wealth. Just type in grow if it's more about growing your wealth, or let me know protect if it's more around inflation protection, because there's a few different ways you can think about crypto. There's a range of different strategies you can utilize, but just let me know in the chat so I can understand if you're more on the protection side of inflation, or if you're more looking to grow your portfolio. Grow, both. Grow, okay, bit of both. Fed is dead, 100%. Fed is very dead. Inflation, okay, cool, awesome. Well, I think we're in the right spot, Trav. We've got the content to match.
Ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Let's get into it, folks. So, really quickly, house rules. I want to make sure you guys are just getting as much value as you can over the next 60 minutes. So really turn off the distractions, close the other tabs, silence your phone. The next 60 minutes of, you know, content's going to be really power punch. We're going to get through a lot, and then we're going to have 30 minutes of Q&A time. All right. So take notes, reference them later. Stay right to the end, because we're going to really get into some bonuses that we're going to share later in the end around, you know, actually being able to take away some of the strategies that we're going to teach today. And then please use the chat to ask questions. All right, we'll address the most common questions when we get to the Q&A, but if there's anything that pops up, please, you know, add them in the chat. And understand this, that I know you guys, you know, trying to get into crypto, it's information overload. You're probably already spending hours and hours and hours consuming crypto content, trying to figure it out. This next 60 to 90 minutes is really going to give you a lot of clarity to just cut through the noise and give you guys exactly what you need to do. All right. So if you stay to the end, again, we're going to share a little bit about the exit strategy and how to actually make sure you don't miss out on the top of the market this cycle. So I'm going to share with you actually a workbook that we provide to our clients. Our clients pay us up to $15,000 a year for the strategies that we're going to teach today. I'm going to give away that free workbook at the end. So make sure you stick around. We'll share that with you guys so you can take away right at the end. Now, just to give you guys a bit of an insight as to who we are and, like, the clients we work with, this is just a couple of screenshots literally from testimonials over the last few days. All right. And if you're in crypto, you're kind of seeing what's going on right now. There is a bit of a correction in the market, which is ultimately the best time to get started and optimize your portfolio. And we find a lot of people that come in to use Collective Shift think that we're just like an online course. All right. But really, just being able to have that personalized onboarding and one-on-one strategy sessions is the thing that most people get the most help with. And, you know, one of our clients, he just messaged this over the weekend that he sold 85% of his Bitcoin and bought an apartment in Greece. That was his goal. So he was able to exit through his exit strategy. You know, we helped him build. We had another client just talk about the risk management. Like, that's a big one in crypto, being able to not only grow your portfolio, but protect the downside. All right. And, you know, the strategy that we teach is around protecting that downside. And that's where, you know, one of our clients mentioned that he's very happy with the Platinum experience based on the altcoins that we've selected and having the right dominant portfolio. And then also another client, just again, this was a couple of days ago, just speaking about how he rotated a lot of his portfolio into physical gold and cash, and now was able to have that discipline and fortitude to navigate this part of a bull market, because it is difficult if you've been in crypto for a little while or you're brand new to try and figure out what's going on. So having that guidance has really helped a lot of our clients. Now, before we get an intro sort of the team, and I'll bring a couple of team members up in a second, I really want to share we're right in the middle of a transformative shift. All right. Bitcoin and crypto is no longer seen as this kind of like, black market, online asset class that's kind of just used for, illegal transactions. We have the biggest institutions in the world now entering crypto. BlackRock has $25 billion worth of Bitcoin under their ETF. Fidelity, and not only holding more than $10 billion worth of crypto in custody, they're also advising their clients to hold up to 4% of their portfolios in Bitcoin, which is unheard of a few years ago. MicroStrategy, a NASDAQ company, holds over 500,000 Bitcoin on their corporate treasury. All right. And now you've got family offices also exploring, crypto, and the ultra wealthy are really positioning in this asset class to grow their portfolio, but ultimately look to offset the sheer inflation that's happening with the US dollar right now. All right. The US government is in $38 trillion worth of debt. And every day you hold cash in your bank account, it is getting devalued. And you can just see this over the last 5 to 10 years. And even other assets, property, depending on what you're looking at, or stock market, every day that dollar is being eroded. All right. And Bitcoin is one of the best ways that these bigger institutions are now positioning for that. All right. And that's what I just mentioned. Even sovereign wealth funds are getting into this. Like, it's all happening behind the scenes. All right. You don't see this on the headlines. You only see the retail stuff. So that's what we're going to get into today. And even during this correction, the sophisticated investors know that when corrections happen in crypto, as long as there's nothing fundamentally that's wrong with the market, which there isn't, it's just a liquidated sell-off that we're seeing at a macro level, a lot of uncertainty. That is the time that sophisticated investors take advantage. All right. And we saw back on the 11th of November, nearly $500 million worth of ETF inflows in a single day came into Bitcoin. All right. The total Bitcoin ETF holders right now have over $140 billion of assets under management. All right. 300 million in accumulation during this correction. The data shows us that this is where institutions are getting and taking advantage, and this is where the retail panic. All right. And based on Grandview research, the market of crypto by 2030 is looking to grow to a size of 11.7 trillion. All right. That's a 13% CAGR, which is huge. All right. It's growing faster than the ETF volume, faster than any other ETF in history. All right. And the historical comparison accelerates each cycle. The adoption of crypto grows each cycle. All right. Back in 2017, we saw there was just really the early adopters. All right. Retail speculation. 2021, we had a 2,000% increase on Bitcoin. This was really around MicroStrategy, Grayscale getting it, involved. And this cycle is the first cycle that hasn't been led by retail investors. It's been led by institutions, family offices, and ETFs. All right. And that is where the volatility starts to decrease. All right. And we start to see more sustained growth and opportunities to get it involved. All right. And the reasons why institutions are buying now versus any other cycle is there's now regulatory clarity. Trump has made it clear that he wants the US to be the home of crypto. All right. The macro environment, the debasement of currency that I mentioned about that cash that you're holding. All right. Even one of our clients I was speaking to in Miami the other day, he had 10 properties. Just the facilitation of managing 10 properties, the opportunity costs he's had by holding them have been relatively flat over the last few years. And now being able to take a percentage of that and allocate it into crypto allows him to diversify his portfolio, hedge against inflation, and start to think about what could be in the next 3, 4, 5 years for Bitcoin. All right. And that's where the sophisticated investors, the custody platforms, the brokerage services are now allowing that. All right. Kathy Wood, a researcher in crypto, speaks about her prediction being for Bitcoin is around that 700,000 US dollars by 2030. All right. That's a 7.5x upside potential. When I've been in crypto now for 8 years, I invested back in Bitcoin at around $3,000 or $4,000. You see the opportunities when we have these corrections like we are in now to see where people don't understand what's going on behind the scenes and they just read the headlines. And that's the cost, ultimately, of sitting on the sidelines and waiting for certainty. The reason why there's so much opportunity in crypto is because it's so uncertain and there's so many people that don't understand what's happening behind the scenes at a foundational level. All right. And waiting for that certainty is just that impact that you're having by sitting on the sidelines, that opportunity cost. All right. And that strategic positioning, Bitcoin's compounding at 30 to 40% year on year. All right. Every single year, that's money that you could be adding to your pocket. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I've personally been, involved now in crypto full-time investing for 8 years. We currently have 1,100 sophisticated investors, clients that pay us from around the world. We've got clients from 20 different countries. I've done a TEDx talk on crypto, been featured on Forbes, Sky News. And actually, we're a major research partner for Coinbase. Our company, Collective Shift, we're now one of the world's leading companies. We've got a following of about 120,000 followers online, and we're known by our followers and our community by cutting through the noise and helping people protect their assets, all right, and grow with crypto in a sustainable way that's, building them generational wealth without, risking and, following what the retail essentially follow. And that's the data and access that we have. So we're going to share a lot of that today to give you guys that clarity. We've also got Travis. I'll let him introduce himself.
Yes, so Travis, I'm the Chief Growth Officer at Collective Shift. I work with high net wealths and have been coaching in the space for businesses, CEOs, and executives from Fortune 500 through to ASX 100 for the last 15 or so years, I would say. Multiple business owner. And one of the things I really bring to Collective Shift and that you'll see throughout today's session is just understanding Ben in the research side really provide you with that opportunity to understand what's happening in the market and where it's going, what the kind of predictive side is based on the analytics and what we can tell. The other side of that is you actually have to have the fortitude and the discipline and the understanding to execute on that. Having a great strategy, but having no control over your emotional state is deeply problematic, regardless of looking to invest in crypto. So I think I've seen that lesson play out, sadly, multiple ways. And we're seeing it even this morning as the markets are going a little bit feral and all the macro forces are weighing down. People are going, this is the end for crypto. The memes have started raining in. And we go, okay, yep, seen this before. As we were talking about this morning, Ben, I think we've been around each other for at least 2 cycles of this and seen what that looks like.
Yeah, and I was actually reflecting this morning on, when I got into crypto, I was buying Ethereum at $80. And my largest investment was at Bitcoin at $10,000 back in, I think it was 2018, 2019. Yes. And 3 weeks later, Bitcoin went from $10,000 to $4,500. I went down 60% nearly in a matter of 2 weeks. Yeah. And Bitcoin at $4,500 was a pretty fearful time. But reflecting back on that, that's the opportunity, right? When you have these corrections, and that's the time that everyone here today is going to be able to take advantage of. So yeah, exciting.
Yeah, fantastic.
So I want to also share, we've got our member growth team in the chat. So I might actually bring up Reese and David in on screen. So Reese and David are our member growth team. So essentially Reese and DT, as we call him, fantastic players in the space, deal directly with our clients as we, work with them as they come on our boarding and kind of share the different, programs and stuff we have going on. And Reese and DT, you guys have been very busy, the last couple of weeks. Might start with you, DT. How's it been, man? Just speaking with a lot of the clients from around the world. It's, it's an interesting time.
Yeah, it's great, man. As you touched on before, institutional mainstream adoption is really where this space is going. We're getting a lot of new entrants coming in, having really great conversations with those who are really wanting to get into the space and understand how to navigate it. I see a lot of ones before, 1 year people in the crypto space, and there's a lot to learn and there's a lot of information out there, and it's very hard to cut through the noise. So, what Reese and I do is we actually sit down with potential clients and see if, you're a good fit for us and to see if we're a good fit for you. Understand, what it is that you're looking for in this space, what your goals are, and, where the challenges are, and really how we can help bridge that gap. And now I think it's a very fearful time in the market, but as Ben touched on, these are where the opportunities are. And it's really about framing that, and that psychology piece, Travis, is really important too, because it's like, how do I think about the situation that I'm in now? And then how do I structurally think about how I can strategically place my bets in this market in this moment? Reese, I don't know what sort of conversations you've been having, but I'd love to hear.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I mean, just following on from you, obviously it's been, it's been great working with a lot of new clients. We've had loads, haven't we, over the past few months, especially. I think now is more important than ever. Obviously the markets are looking, relatively choppy. But as you and me spoke about this morning, we've obviously filled that CME gap. at 92, which I'm sure Ben, will be talking about shortly. Well, that was always like a bit of a looming concern. But as Ben touched upon a moment ago, I'm sure, again, you'll delve deeper into this. The reality is we've only had a 30% correction, which in bull markets is completely fine. It just looks a lot scarier now because the monetary value is so much higher. Okay. But like, as you said, Ben, going from 10K to 4.5K, that's like almost a 60% correction. However, we've only had a 30% correction now, dropping from 125 down to like 92. So it just sounds a lot scarier. But the reality is in bull markets, 30, 40% corrections are completely normal. But yeah, looking forward to speaking to a lot of people today. DT and I have freed up a lot of space in our calendars. So yeah, it'll be great to have some chats.
Brilliant. Thank you, boys. So for those tuning in, basically the way we usually run these sessions, we're just going to go through a lot of content today, educate you guys, get you all ready to kind of go and tackle this. And at the end, we'll share a little bit about how we work with clients. And, if you're interested, DT and Reese will, happily take your call and have a conversation with you and see if it's a good fit. And we'll share that later on today. But thank you, boys. I'll let you get back to work, and yeah, we'll speak soon.
Cheers.
Now, the thing that really, I guess, sets us apart here at Collective Shift, we're an independent research company. So everything that we share with our clients and what I'm going to share with you guys today is completely independent. We don't get paid to promote tokens. We don't do affiliate links. All of our, investments are transparent. Every trade is transparent that our clients follow. And the performance of, some of our altcoins, particularly this cycle, has been actually, really outperforming what has been, quite a difficult market to invest in. Probably my biggest, win this cycle has definitely been Syrup. It's been up, entered that around 5 cents and got out around, at the peak we hit around 65 cents. And ultimately, being able to get access to some of these tokens, I'm going to share with you guys today how we get access to early stage investments, also known as the primary markets. If you're, familiar with that outside of crypto, essentially being able to get access to this data that the institutions are buying in is the key difference for us, and being able to get some of these returns like, ETH at $80, Solana at 22, etc. And personally, I didn't start out with a lot of money, 8 or 9 years ago, coming from a small town in Australia. Personally, over the last 12 months, traded close to 2.3 million in one of my accounts. I made most of my money in the 2021 bull market when I got early in the metaverse era, which was before Facebook renamed to Meta. Our analysis was showing that was really the key areas. And then the exit strategy we're going to teach you guys today was exactly how I was able to take that money out. All right. And, we sell all this research as well to some of the biggest institutions in the world, like Coinbase, CoinSpot, SwiftX, etc. And really what we're about is long-term investing. So, some of our, best investments are really about taking advantage of when there's fear in the market, and we nailed the last Bitcoin bottom within a couple of days. Matt, our director of research, got this back in 2022, pretty much bang on around Bitcoin hitting 16,000, which was great. Solana, hit $22. People forget that actually wasn't only until April, a few months ago, that Solana actually hit $90. All right. And right now, Solana peaked out about 240, right now back to about 130. These corrections are very normal. I'm going to share with you a bit of a framework as to how to know when to enter, because these times we're in now is really pivotal to be able to take advantage. Syrup, they did 1,000% this year that I took profits out. I'm actually, utilizing those profits for goals that I've had this cycle amongst what's been a downward sort of sideways year for Bitcoin. There's been a few big key winners that we've been able to jump on board and share with our clients. Pendle's another one that, did 2,500%, a MemeFi project up 1,000%. And the reason we're able to get these investments, is not just because of Travis and I, but we've actually got a full-time team of nearly 20 people that we spend close to $300,000 a month now on our team. And, that's been a slow growth over the last 5 years to be able to give ourselves the best insights and analysis around the world, and very, very, happy to be in this position now where we do, essentially have some of the best analysts and researchers in the world that, allow us to invest and then share that back with our clients. And that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. All right. And at a key level, the clients are ultimately who we help the most. And that's really one of these insights I'm going to share with you guys today has been the result of, and really the people that we help the most are those that, are just wanting to grow their portfolio, whether they're brand new, maybe they're a little bit time poor, they're just overwhelmed. They just need, essentially someone to come in and coach them and grow by their side and kind of work with them one-on-one. Jamie was one of those clients. He was a business owner. First 5 months, he did a case study here. He was up 150% in the first 5 months. Talks about, the size of portfolio he had. He needed to employ someone to do that. All right. And his membership was employing the Collective Shift team, and he was able to do that. Some of our smaller, clients may come in and invest a bit, little bit less. Adrian turned 10,000 to 100,000 in his first few months of joining us, and just being able to gain confidence and make independent decisions by having the team by the side really made the difference for him. Ron, another busy guy. He's a dad. He's a portfolio property investor. He reduced his portfolio. He had 30 coins when he started, reduced that down after working with us and getting our frameworks, and was up 200%, paid for 4 years of his membership, which was awesome. So not only on the growth side, but also protecting our clients on the downside. So for those that, were aware back in 2022, this was a wild time, Trav, FTX, when that all blew up.
Yeah, I remember we were in a strategy session with the team, which was a little bit smaller then. And I still think that was one of the best kind of calls ever, because Matt and the team were like, this shit's about to go sideways. And they said, sorry guys, we're going to park the session. We've just got to let everyone know. And that was 2 or 3 days before, I think it was. And the number of members after who were like, you guys just saved me a ton of money. And then FTX went right off the rails. So exceptional work by the research team there.
Yeah, so that's a big difference, right? Having that, we're independent. We don't work for an exchange. We're essentially working for our clients, and being able to warn, because we saw the on-chain data. Our team, our researchers found some data that was not lining up, and then we warned our clients to get their money off FTX and save them a lot of money, which was great. And ultimately, the thing that we find the difference between winning in crypto and not winning in crypto is ultimately having a system. And maybe, for those of you that, are investing outside of crypto, you would have a system with your business or your property, or your financial advisor would build a system for your stock portfolio. Without a system in crypto, you're going to panic sell during corrections. All right. And we see that time and time again. Don't we, Trav? Like that fear gets set in, and people panic.
Yeah, it's happening right now. And even some of our members are reaching out to us, guys, I just want to check we're still on track. Is this the right plan? Are we holding right? Whereas without that, you just don't see that happening. And I think on that, I'll just quickly add, one of the things I think we see a lot in the crypto space is people telling you where the next opportunity is, but no one's telling you the danger to avoid. That's often the thing. It's like, oh, I don't like that coin, invest in this coin. But it's never, hey, actually, here's the problem you need to avoid, because otherwise you're going to lose. So we see people wipe out all of their gains on stuff they weren't told they should have avoided, or the research could have told them this was an opportunity that isn't for you. So I think, you're right. That mania plus that lack of clarity on what's a bad opportunity is just as important.
And this is the exact reason why there's information overload, and a lot of you struggle with this, because we know, is because you're listening to so many different opinions. Everyone's got a different opinion on the market, but ultimately, you're going to consistently second guess yourself. You're going to miss the right entries. You're going to invest in the wrong altcoins. And on a downward swing, if you make the wrong investment, you can lose. I mean, we've seen hundreds of thousands of dollars lost on a single investment by just following bad information. I mean, I did that personally back in 2018, 2019, got sucked into listening to one YouTube influencer that I thought knew what he was talking about. He turned out to be completely wrong. And then, I sold out about 50% of my Bitcoin at around 20,000 because he said it was going to go to 4,000, and that was the first real big realization around, figuring out that a lot of these people online are not exactly what they, set out to be. So the system that we teach and the system that we work with our clients one-on-one, and Duncan, your question around, guidance and, regarding holding position, exit points, that's what we do. We build that with you. We share what we're doing with our portfolio. All right. And we give you positions based on data and signals. We allow you to understand what is noise and what is clarity. We give you a systematic profit system that you can utilize, that you kind of plug in your own numbers. And then we give you a clear framework on how to make decisions, and then also how you can maximize the upside and minimize the downside, especially in crypto with the stress that goes on and where we are right now. That's the most important. And then we're there by your side all year round. So that's kind of the most important part around the systematic approach. So the 3-pillar institutional positioning framework we're going to teach all of you today is really 3 core parts. There's the strategic positioning, knowing when and how to position your portfolio; wealth protection, how to hold and rebalance through volatility; and the third one is profit realization, when and how to exit systematically. So you're not relying on the whim of the market. You're not just like guessing, all right? And you can really lock in those profits to really make a lasting change for your family, your legacy, all right? That generations to come, I want to be giving my future children Bitcoin, because that's the only asset that I have a high degree of certainty that's going to be around and going to be a lot higher than where I am now. All right. And I'm using these cycles to ultimately grow that. But to do that, you need to have the right positioning, the right data to get into the right assets, protect it. All right. And not then have a meltdown like most people do when there's a bit of volatility and they panic and make a poor decision. All right. And that is crypto. And that's very different to the stock market. Crypto acts very differently. And that's what we're here to kind of help you guys today. So the three institutional signals the core three, we have a lot more that we kind of focus on, but the three major ones we track is ETF flow momentum. So where is the institutional capital actually flowing? All right. Where is it going? Is it slowing? Is it reversing? What are the big boys doing in the market? That's what we want to focus on. We don't want to focus on what the retail do, because guess what? The retail get it wrong pretty much every single time. We then want to have a look at the valuation metrics. A lot of people, ask me, Ben, how do you even value crypto? How do you value certain altcoins, different assets? There's a range of different valuation metrics that we utilize. Specifically, on-chain analytics is the most relevant for us. On-chain analytics is essentially our ability to review what's happening on the blockchain. The blockchain is immutable and it's visible. So we analyze that blockchain and understand where we are from a cycle perspective. The market value to realized value ratio has been a consistent winner for us to understand where we are in the cycle. All right. And right now, the current status is that we have a lot of room to run. We're not peaking out in terms of, this cycle. And actually, we're in a great buying signal at the moment. The third one, and perhaps the most important one, is actually the macro environment. All right. Crypto is very much heavily tied to the macro, environment, Fed policy, interest rates, risk on, risk off. Really, right now, we're in this space of quantitative tightening is slowing. We haven't started quantitative easing. There hasn't been a lot of liquidity in the market right now. All right. And there's been a lot of focus on that M2 money supply growth, the debt and debasement of currency. All right. And right now, the economy is in a really struggling point because you've got this, extraction of capital. You've got interest rates. There's cause of, potential inflation hikes. And yet businesses are struggling. Employment numbers are not great. You've got income that has not grown for personal income levels. The wealth gap is getting greater. And ultimately, even if you hold assets right now, in terms of the debasement of fiat currency in the US dollar, if you look at the comparison of that and look at, let's say, your property, your stock portfolio against gold as an example, well, then you're most likely going to be struggling. And that is because there's been this huge increase in monetary expansion, all right? And the US government is in a heck of a lot of debt. And that is the problem that Bitcoin solves. All right. So when thinking about this and strategic aligning to your portfolio, you've got to understand, when do I buy? How much do I allocate? Which assets do I choose? So those four key principles I just mentioned is following the smart money, positioning yourself ahead of catalysts. Markets are forward looking, so you want to position yourself ahead of it. Sizing your positions systematically, all right, and understanding when to accumulate, never going it all at once, and understanding their portfolio allocation, and then diversifying around different altcoins. And Travis, we've seen this recently, a lot of members that sign up usually go very heavy on altcoins because they've been sold the dream by influencers, and they come to us going, oh my goodness, my portfolio's down a lot. I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
100%.
And that's what we've got to turn around.
Yeah, 100%. And even in the chat, we've seen some questions on that this morning around, what should I be doing? Which coins should I be in? What should I be rotating in or out of? And, it is very much the promise of, and there are people in our space, we know we're not going to name any names, but ones who do day trading in altcoins and then promise yields. And those members ultimately come across to us, not because we're cheeky and we think we're better. It's because we stick to the facts. We're not promising things that aren't there. And I remember a couple of days ago, even you said to our members, now's not the time to get cute with altcoins. It's the time to really focus on the fundamentals and make sure your investment choices reflect your risk tolerance. And I really think that's critical. There are some opportunities, but the risk is incredibly high on some of those opportunities.
100%. Exactly right. And that's the number one mistake we see people make is over trading, consistently chasing the hype, buying and selling based on short-term price movements. There's usually on average a 15 to 20% annual performance drag. And we see a higher tax liability for this sort of trading and trying to react to news and social media hype. You're always late. You're reacting to news. All right. A common phrase we use in crypto is buy the hype, sell the news. If you're reacting to the news, you're always late. And that's where retail investors consistently get the wrong information. And I've seen this. I used to work for a crypto YouTube influencer. You guys need to know you are getting screwed by listening to this content online. They are entertainers. They give you content to watch their videos, and they get paid by consumption. They get paid by you watching their content and you clicking their links. They are not there to help you. The faster you realize that, the faster you start to win. All right. That is the exact reason I started this company 5.5 years ago, to be completely independent and transparent based on everything we do, and not do affiliate links and not do paid promotion, because you're getting screwed. I realized that I was getting screwed. I lost a lot of money. All right. And you guys are in that same boat. And that is why I want you to understand that your source of information is so important.
Yeah. I think people don't realize too, just on that, Ben, that the most lucrative, if you do the research on the ad spend on YouTube, the most lucrative area of an industry within that is influencers. If you want to start up a channel that's going to make a ton of money, you've got to break through the noise. But once you do, the financial space is absolutely where you go, because the amount of brand opportunities are just astronomical, including secondary industries like business influence and those related ancillary products. But I think people don't understand that they're not paying for that, so they think it's good advice. And there's, as the old saying goes, if you're not paying for a product, you are the product. Like they're selling it to you. They're selling you to other people who are giving them money for it. So I think understanding we don't do that, because we recognize the research is critical, and we'd rather be able to be unbiased. And we can't speak out against particular opportunities if we're taking money for them, which we don't. We don't touch people's investments, and we don't touch affiliate deals because of those reasons.
And maybe just quickly in the chat, let me just put a yes in the chat. Who here has actually lost money because they followed an influencer online? All right, specifically in crypto, based on poor information, and that's a yes from me. It's one of the reasons I started this company. Is anyone else just like overwhelmed and listening to these guys, and you end up with a portfolio that you're down a lot, and you're wondering who's right, who's wrong, and you realize that these guys are actually they come up with all these things because that's how they create their business model.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I think that's a good flow into the slide you've got up there, really around what a lot of the work we do, including we've got our largest, actually, despite the market, in-person day on Thursday this week in Sydney. We've got people flying from all over the world. I think we've got people coming in from Dubai and Singapore and everywhere else. We've got about 170 members as of this morning coming along. And one of the things I'm going to be speaking about for an hour or so there is around these safeguards around emotional decision making, and the panic that can ensue. First thing I opened my phone this morning, media is unemployment, and I'm American, so I can say these things, but unemployment numbers being withheld. Market's incredibly volatile. AI is in a bubble, and so what happens is it immediately creates frenzy. So when people lose sight of these safeguards that we tell them to put in place around understanding where their entry and exit points are, regardless of what the news is saying, what do I need to gain from this? What's my opportunity? And position size limits, we all have different tolerances. Even you and I, Ben, have different position size limits we're comfortable with in terms of our investments, but we both know what those are for ourselves. And then, having some way of understanding whether it's a goal in this space or your overall financial goals is working through what's the investment doing for me and how am I progressing against my goals, and making decisions based on that long-term view, not based on how I feel this morning because I opened Instagram and I was served a reel on the macro forces.
100%. Exactly right. And that all comes back down to that process, all right? And the 7-step strategy template is something that I've worked on over the last 8 years of investing in crypto. I've worked with thousands of people across the world now to perfect this strategy. And it's what we work one-on-one with all of our clients to build out, so you have the right process. And ultimately, part of that strategy, my long-term strategy is around wealth creation, all right? And wealth creation for me is about accumulating as much Bitcoin as possible. Bitcoin is the best performing asset of the last decade. It's digital scarcity and amongst endless money printing, is built for high debt, high liquidity environments. It's built for the day and age we are in now. And for me, utilizing altcoins in the short term to build that up and then sell into Bitcoin is the strategy. All right. The goal of holding an altcoin is to make sure you're outperforming Bitcoin to accumulate more Bitcoin. All right. And then using your Bitcoin, we can do things like lending against our Bitcoin. All right. Without depending on what tax jurisdiction you're in. For some people, you're able to use that Bitcoin without taking a capital gains on selling it and then utilizing debt to start to accumulate more assets.
Yeah.
This is what the wealthy do in every other asset class. And now this is being available for Bitcoin, but this is not what you're taught online.
Yes. It's like this morning we had our bonus high net wealth session on gaining yields from your crypto, like actually using that as an opportunity to reinvest and get towards your property goals or whatever they are. And yeah, it was just something our members hadn't been exposed to. And I think a great opportunity. And that was presented by our own research team.
Yeah. So that, the other side of this is, being able to like generate income and yield, like you said, Trav, like that's, it's a big one. Opal said here just around best places to direct your gains other than the bank, utilizing stable coins, utilizing decentralized finance to generate an income based on your risk tolerance. That's exactly what you want to be thinking about to again, the bank is giving you a very, very small percentage in the bank of interest. Like if you think about actual inflation rates, that's probably close to 10%, probably higher of actual purchasing power debasement. Again, you're just getting screwed, guys, in every level. Like, especially like, for property holders. Like I think about property, you think you're growing all this wealth in property until you go and sell that house and buy the next door neighbor's house and it's the same price. All right. It's not like you're outperforming. You're just growing based on the debt levels. It's wild.
All the boats are rising.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And just some of the comments in the chat. Yeah, there's no illegal way to do it. It's actually legal. We've spoken to a number of players in the space. We do our research on them before we discuss them with our members. And in terms of borrowing against your crypto, there are legal ways to do it. The ACCC went to battle and ASIC went to battle with these companies and lost. The high courts determined there are legal ways to do that, and it is okay. So that is something we talk about with our members. And again, it has nothing to do with us. We don't earn anything off of that. It's just creating an opportunity for you to use your financial facilities in the most effective way.
Yeah. I literally did this, last year. I went to Europe for a holiday and I didn't sell my Bitcoin. I took out debt against it, was able to go on the holiday and, and then come back and pay it off, over time, which allowed me to be, better for cash flow and not have to sell my Bitcoin. And that's exactly what we work with our clients. So, beyond that, being able to generate income and cash flow is really important for stability as well. All right. And paying down that loan, all right, building that passive income to retire on and reinvest is the most important part. All right. And no, actually, Link, for most people, it doesn't trigger a CGT event. All right. So the other part of this, the 7-step strategy process is your buying strategy. So this was Bill. He was one of our busy platinum clients. He's a property investor. I think he owns $30 million worth of property. He's a pretty big investor. Came across the Collective Shift, and he actually saw on our WhatsApp, community, our inner circle that we have with our, high net worth sophisticated clients, a token that was shared by one of our community members around Trump. And during that same day, got in at $9 and sold at $63. He made $120,000 in a day. And the thing here, the big difference was that he had a buy strategy, but he also had an exit strategy. All right. So not only was he thinking about that longer term wealth creation, he wanted to make the most of the opportunities that we see in a bull market. Right. Because if you look at the year to date returns on Bitcoin, year to date, Bitcoin's down, I think 3 or 4%. But during that period, there's been a lot of opportunity if you were early and got access to different tokens to make money. And that is exactly what we help our clients with. Now, the big thing here, and some of you may have heard this online, the idea of primary markets. What is the primary markets? The primary markets is essentially a decentralized exchange access to early stage altcoin opportunities that usually are only restricted to institutional investors that we now get access to. And this is one of the biggest things that pained me when I first started to learn about, particularly in Australia. As a sophisticated investor, all right, you have to earn or be at a certain, wealth level before you even get access to the best investments. All right. In crypto, anyone, anywhere, no matter where you're on the planet, young, old, male, female, doesn't matter. You can get access to this. There's literally no reason why you can't get access to these early stage tokens. And what the retail investors usually do is wait for them to get listed on Coinbase. But what actually happens is the retail investors pay premium prices. They miss all the early growth phase and they take way higher risk with lower upside. And what the opportunities that we provide and our platinum clients, they get access to the primary markets early. They get institutional level pricing, which is far cheaper and discounted versus the public. And you get the maximum upside potential with the least downside risk, right? And that is exactly where, this is a chart here. You can see there's a little bit of data here, but essentially on this chart, this is over the last 30 days based on the market correction. So if you look right back year to date, this chart, in the red and green, you've got Bitcoin. So that's middle. Bitcoin's down 2%. And then two investments, all right, that are still heavily weighted in my portfolio that we've shared to our clients, Hyperliquid and Syrup. Hyperliquid up 55% in that same period of the last 30 days. And Maple Finance up 74% over the last 30 days versus Bitcoin, which is actually down. Now, that's not to say that we go all in on these altcoins. It's not that by any stretch of the imagination. We actually, prioritize, a large percentage of Bitcoin holdings. But most of the altcoins right now, 99% of the altcoins are underperforming and down against Bitcoin. If you have access to these tokens where you can have the right fundamentals, that institutional grade, research, you get exposure to these altcoins before the retail. And that's where that outperformance is. And that's exactly what we, allow our clients to get involved in. That's what we share. And that's, been some of our biggest winners to date, even though the market's been relatively flat. All right. And again, that's really what the typical investor experiences. They're emotional, they're getting altcoins late, their portfolio's down. All right. But when you're in the right assets and you can, be prepared before these corrections or get exposure during these corrections, you're holding strong fundamental projects. You've got data-driven positioning. You're not scared and worried. You have confidence to hold and you're positioned for the next leg up. All right. And that's really the biggest thing. You get early access, you get the due diligence done for you. You're right. The better pricing and that ongoing support to understand what you should and shouldn't get into, essentially. Now, Travis is going to talk a little bit now about the second pillar, which is the wealth protection, how to hold and rebalance your portfolio and protect against the gains. Because, the big one here around risk management, and Travis, this is exactly what we're seeing right now. People that are losing right now haven't had that risk management that we've been speaking about for a long time. They're risking more than they're willing to lose. They're in the wrong assets, and they start to panic.
100%. 100%. Yeah. So a couple of key bits to really highlight here. That inflation hedge positioning, I think, is super critical. As we always say, Bitcoin is kind of the standard there. And I've seen it in the chat from people saying, it all kind of bleeds back to that. But I think understanding for you, like what's the guard in place, not just from a crypto perspective, but overall a balanced portfolio. And I think from a risk management perspective, that then feeds into what are your short and long-term goals. I've spoken to some members recently. I do one-on-one coaching, by the way, with our platinum members. And one of the things I find is that often people's view of what risk is actually around them is often quite skewed. And it's often skewed by what's happening in their personal life at that time. So, someone saying, well, I want to renovate my house and I'm only up, literally, this is the exact thing. I'm only up 3.7x on my portfolio. And I went, oh, yeah. And it's like, but what if I take, and I could have gone up to 4.5x. And the question there is, well, are you risking the downside of it by trying to hold for the further upside of it? And what are you really aiming to achieve there? And there's a great saying in business and in wealth that's held true for me for as long as I've heard it, which is kind of 15 years or so, which is never bet the farm unless you absolutely have to bet the farm and it's the time to do it. But right now I'm seeing people bet the farm on completely speculative, wild shit where you're going, what is going on here? Why are we choosing to do that? And what do you really need from this versus just buying into the mania? So I think those wealth protections then balanced by some of the other things like tax optimization. We do bring other partners into, and partners we mean as in we've got a healthy relationship, not that they pay us for it, but like Crypto Tax Australia and others to come in and have conversations with our members. We had one last month, really good feedback, and we'll be presenting again on Thursday to our members on really getting the most tax benefit out of that. And then rebalancing protocol. Ben, I think you had a great message a couple of days ago again that I'll refer to where you said, don't be cute with altcoins, but also here's how you're rebalancing your own portfolio given your goals and what you're trying to achieve. And I know you've been making the shift into property. You're buying that house for your parents. So there's kind of that whole process of, hold on, right now, I don't want this level of risk. I'm happy with this level of risk. And here's how I'm handling that.
Yeah. And it's a personalized question too, Ryan. That's the key
100%.
difference. Like,
yeah. 100%.
Our clients don't join and then, try and, just follow a course module and pretend that they know what's relevant to them. That's the biggest thing that we find is like the problem that, a lot of people come to us with is that they are listening to generic information online that is not relevant for everyone. And they're buying tokens at the wrong time they're probably buying the wrong token as well. And a lot of the people, and I can see that even the message coming through that you're down on certain altcoins. Well, then you've bought at the wrong time, all right? Or you don't know now the next step, all right? And that's just as important, because hoping your altcoin's going to come back is not a strategy. And that is exactly, that problem that we have to mitigate and turn around.
Yes.
And we do that ultimately through, what Travis was saying. One of the other biggest benefits, that the research team gives us and, to our clients is consistent, updated information on the market. All right. And again, this is another thing that a lot of you probably go to crypto YouTube or Twitter or wherever you go, or you maybe have a friend that's speaking about crypto, but it's just information overwhelm and you don't know exactly how to position your portfolio. The biggest thing that we do as part of our research platform, and this is, our clients get access to this. As an example, like I just posted yesterday a big portfolio update, and I updated my portfolio based on where the market is at the moment and some things I needed to shift around. But the shift list is our own curated list of altcoins and assets that we update regularly based on where the market is and our research is giving us indications. So as an example, Hyperliquid is a token that we're very excited about, and we actually shared this, all of our research and token insights, with our clients. The big thing here around fundamental, value is looking deeply into the tokens, and we do all the due diligence for you. So then we just share back our findings. All right. And then you can kind of do a little bit deeper dives if you want to, but you can kind of outsource that due diligence and research to our team. All right. And if I share with you, like when we shared Hyperliquid in amongst an altcoin market that on average this year is down 25%, we shared Hyperliquid that we're buying and updating the portfolio here 8 months ago. All right. And that was around $22 that we shared back in February. At the peak, it hit $60, hit about a 3x. Right. And it's kind of pulled back to around a 2x. Having that cut through has been so important to get access before everyone else. No one was speaking about Hyperliquid back here. All right. Guess when people were talking about it? Up here when it got listed on Robinhood recently. All right. Yeah. So you need to get in early.
And then people are buying into it. One of the things we've seen is people come to us and they go, I saw you guys posted about Hype. I've just bought. And we go, ooh, we were talking about that a while ago. Like, we're not saying we're bearish on it, but also we didn't say buy today, right? That's the thing. And then you see that and people are going on down 10% or 20%. And you go, well, you just bought at the peak when it hit. They like literally hit Robinhood. And then some people are like, oh, I bought it today. They go, oh man, that's priced in now. That's been priced into the current rate.
Yeah, 100%. And actually knowing too when the right time to take profits is. So Syrup as an example, if people here have been following me on social media or whatnot, like I'm posting content on my social media scheduled days, sometimes weeks in advance. Like it's late when it gets to social media. Like I prioritize our clients because that's who's paying us the money. And that's where the best, insights are. Syrup as an example, I shared this back in June that I actually took profits. I was up 5.5x this year. In a space of about 4 months that I took profits, and that's now, helping me buy my parents a property. Already too late, all right? And holding these tokens now, it's about understanding, right, is now the time to cut, accumulate more, or rebalance? And that's very, like the most important decision you have, all right? And if you're doing that without the data and without, actually understanding what that next stage is, like you're potentially going to lose even more money, all right? Definitely. And we see this all the time, and that's exactly what we do with our clients is we have one-on-one sessions where we sit down with our head of education. You get access to our research, and we give you those insights and tools to help you, actually make a data-driven decision and not just continue to kind of, shoot from the hip and hope for the best.
100%.
And that's what we just spoke about, the risk tolerance. Travis just spoke about that and understanding, that risk that you need to take. The tax and structuring we spoke about, that's really important. That's something where you can really, lose out a lot of money if you don't have that tax-efficient structure. All right. Yeah. And the third most important part, which a lot of you spoke about at the start, was around taking profits, all right, and understanding the exact exit strategy that you can utilize. Before I jump into this, how's everyone going? Give me a yes in the chat. Is this good? You're enjoying things. You're learning lots. Is this helpful? Just want to make sure you guys are here. We're about an hour. We've got 180 live, which is amazing. Lots of great questions coming in. We're going to get to Q&A as well very soon. This is the third out of the 3 pillars. Let me know in the chat. Yes, if you're enjoying things, learning lots. There's a lot of questions that we're going to come back to. Deb, yes. Aaron, yes. Awesome. Awesome, Jacob. Crazy. Awesome. Fantastic. Awesome, guys. Okay, cool. Let's get into the third pillar, all right, which is the profit realization. So this is the questions around when do I sell? How much do I sell? How do I avoid selling too early or holding too long? These are all really, really important questions that you need to answer, all right? And 35% of investors say this is their number one challenge when getting into crypto is knowing when to sell. Travis, do you want to talk about the two fears that really paralyze investors when it comes to selling?
Yeah, I think definitely the first one there, the selling too early, is absolutely paralytic. The number of sessions I've had to have in repeat sessions I've had to have with people with, these are high net wealths. Many of these people who have got multi-million-dollar portfolios or several $100,000. And what you see is they're going, oh, but what if there's more? But what if there's more? And what I find is often the biggest problem there is there's not clarity on what the goal is for that money. If there's always more to be done. You can accumulate more things. It's a bit like some of the same conditions that afflict gamblers or online shoppers, as people go, I just need more. Like the dopamine hit needs to come again. Like, but what's that meant to serve? What are you really trying to do with that? Because money and wealth is ultimately a means to unlocking a lifestyle you're after. If there's not a lifestyle that you're trying to achieve, you're never going to be happy because you're always chasing the additional bit. To the point where, there's been members I've coached where they've gone, oh, I've got what I need and my family really needs this money now, but I'm worried about leaving money on the table. And I go, geez, we got to have a serious conversation now. And that takes a long conversation, but there's a key point there on you're actually now hurting yourself as a result of being afraid of selling too early. So that's why with our members, our head of education works to set those targets way before the pressure starts to emerge. Because once the pressure emerges, you're hijacked. The kind of prefrontal cortex side of it just shuts off and you're straight into the amygdala just going fear, run, let it play. And then writing crashes to zero. One of my our head of education side of it from Simon, one of the things he says that I absolutely love is he goes, if you want to buy it today, you need to sell it. And I think, and our members hate that. They go, oh, come on, that's ridiculous. And then you look at it and you go, actually, there's a lot of truth to what he's saying here. And people will write it down to zero rather than face taking a loss, because it's not a loss. As the terrible meme says, it's not a loss until you sell. It is actually a loss. You just haven't capitalized on the loss. You haven't formalized it, but you're down. Like, you can play whatever mental games you want. And I see people doing the mental gymnastics of it. And I go, come on, man. Like, you got to decide now, how far are you willing to go with this? And how bad is it really going to get before you decide to correct for what's happening?
Yeah. And the big pain really is the reality. On screen here, you can see this is a chart from the last bull market.
Yeah.
Essentially, the lines here that you're seeing is Bitcoin, right? Now, that blue line is the top 5% that Bitcoin got to. It lasted here for less than 3 days, all right? The top 10% is the yellow line. It was there for about a week. And the purple line, it was there for about a month. So to get within the top 25%, you've got a 30-day hit rate. To get the top 5%, you've got a 3-day rate. This is for Bitcoin. The further you go down the altcoin list, if you look at meme coins or Dogecoin was in the top 5% for 3 hours. All right. And the downwards pain of missing the top and not actually selling is excruciating. If I know a lot of you are new to crypto, personally, I round trip my first cycle. Round trip means when you don't take your profits and you ride it all the way down. That can be an 80% negative drawdown period on your altcoins. Yes. And some of you may be feeling that now with your altcoins feeling down. You can be losing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I've seen, people lose millions of dollars by not selling because the euphoria takes over. They have the fear, all right, and they don't make the right decision. So the 3 exit signals that we utilize, and there's different, processes we implement with our clients, but the biggest signals, again, is the ETF flow reversal. So understanding when the big boys and the institutions are starting to take profits. Now, this can be a convoluted metric as well, because you get money flowing from weak hands to stronger hands. So, right now there's been a fair bit of ETF outflow, but it hasn't correlated with a lot of the other exit signals that we've indicated. So that's kind of why the data is really important. So, because it can be a false metric too. The second one is just valuation extremes. Like, are we going on that on-chain analysis I spoke about? Is the MVRV ratio exceeding historical, peaks? Are we seeing sentiment get to historical highs? Are we seeing, euphoric territory? Are we getting to periods where the risk to reward doesn't make a lot of sense? All right. And the last big one is, again, the macro headwinds. Are we starting to see the Fed pivot? Are we starting to see liquidity contract? All right. Quantitative tightening accelerating. Right now, we're getting quantitative tightening ending. The last bull market was pretty much, topped out at the point where quantitative tightening started to expand, and we had monetary, extraction. When there's more liquidity, we have risk on assets performing well, and we have money retraction. We have risk on assets, not performing well. All right. And then the tax efficient strategy. This is really important. Also understanding when the right time to take profits on your assets based on the periods of time you're holding them. All right. And this is for different people. If you're in Dubai, you're in a tax-free environment. If you're in the US, it's something different. If you're in Australia, it's something different. All right. But having an understanding of tranching against different tax years, holding for periods of time where you get discounts. All right. And that's all stuff we bring in tax professionals to help. And obviously we share what we're doing with our sort of portfolios and can guide you along the way. Now, Trav, the psychological problem that you mentioned at the start, this is the big one that most people get wrong is that emotion takes over.
Yeah, and we see this manifest in a few different ways. Fear, I think, is the first one and probably the most prevalent. We've been talking a lot with our members and keeping them informed about the fear index and how that's trending. Fear is at probably one of the peaks I think it's been in a couple of decades now. Hey, I think as of this morning, and it's something that you can track. There's actually a fear index online. Now, for a lot of people, that doesn't really mean anything because they don't know what that means. But what happens is that tends to be infectious. And we talk about in psychology this thing known as emotional contagion. It is an observable phenomenon. And what happens is the more you're exposed to other people's fear, the more fearful you become, because it's a protective mechanism. Our brains are going, wait, everyone around me is afraid. I think they're reasonable, or I feel connected to them, or I know they're decent people, so I should be afraid as well. And this happens subconsciously. So what happens is we start to see people lash out or become irrational or make bad decisions. And you go, why'd you do that? And they go, I don't actually know. I just felt worried, so I did it. And you go, well, hold on, let's take stock of that. So one of the things we really work on is helping people identify what state are you in and what's getting you there. Because if you're just surrounding yourself by fearful people or fearful sources of information, of course you're going to be afraid. It's why I hate the evening news. You watch the evening news and it's like, if you are one of those punters who does that, you get to the end of it like, man, the world's pretty awful. And you go, hold on, yeah, in many ways it can be, but actually all I've heard is bad news for an hour. No wonder I'm a bit anxious. The second bit, which is equally problematic, is greed. So your fear is protective in many ways. Greed is not protective. Greed is about resource hoarding and accumulating, but accumulating to a point where you're like, hold on, what are you actually trying to do here? You're almost just collecting money to win or to boost your ego or to be uber wealthy to the point where you don't actually need what you're after. And we see that greed lead people right off a cliff with really bad investments. So both of those seem quite different, and they are in many ways, but they both have a very similar result in that you end up losing in the long term. And then ultimately that FOMO can be driven by either of those two, or it can be simply because of pressure around you. The number of times people have gone, hey, Trav, have you seen this new tech stock? You should get in. One of my good mates is big into biomed techs, and he's always like, oh, you should get into this. And I go, mate, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. And then next day he's like, oh, I lost a ton of money on that. I was like, mate, you're just speculating. I said, you're not getting me dragged into your FOMO of some random med tech that hasn't hit the market yet. Sorry, the failure rates are like 99%. So again, just looking at these and understanding what emotional state you're in, and then working on some tactics to regulate so you can have your strategy from the team and you can have good emotional regulation to execute on that. The absence of either one of those, good emotional regulation but no strategy, just means you feel okay, but you're not growing wealth-wise. And the other side, good strategy and no emotional regulation means you're just going to be whipsawing all the time with the markets.
100%. And like, you guys are managing, or potentially going to be managing, hundreds of thousands of dollars in this crypto portfolio. The idea that you're doing this alone, all right, and that, you have to come back, and I had to do this, when I made a lot of money on paper and I didn't sell because I got fearful, and I watched that portfolio all the way down, going home and telling your family that, hey, that, all that money that I was showing off to you the other day and all this money now is gone. Like, you feel the shame, you feel the guilt, and that's where 90% of investors fail. It's due to emotional decisions, not a lack of information. You guys can go and get information everywhere. That was what we said at the start. There's not a lack of information in crypto. You need a system that removes emotion from the equation so you can follow a process. That is the thing that is the difference.
And there's a lack of sense making on that point, Ben. I think a lot of information doesn't mean anything. So it goes, well, employment numbers looks like X, Y, and Z, or tariffs mean X, Y, or tariffs are turning into X, Y, and Z. What does it mean for you and your investments? Because ultimately, information without purpose or translation is really just noise.
Yeah.
And if you don't have someone or somewhere to go, wait, what is this telling me? Then what's the point?
Yeah. Spot on. So really and I might get Trav to kind of go through these, the top 8 common investor mistakes we see. This is kind of like this is kind of the top 8 that we see in our clients.
Yes. Yeah. So the first one we've talked about with hype, I think when people went, I hit Robinhood, like, let's get in, you go, mate, you're buying at the top here. Like we've been talking about this for 8 months and we're really telling you, be careful there. There's a quote we use at Collective Shift a lot, but it's basically once your Uber driver is asking you if this is a good investment, you've well and truly reached peak mania around that particular coin. And that's not a dig at anyone. That's just going, it's so common that everyone's talking about it, you bump into. Over trading and racking up fees. I think my wife and I changed super funds recently because we just decided it wasn't the best and we weighed it up and did all that. But there's transaction fees attached to that. So, and if you think about trading, supers, you don't change very often, but these coins, I see people trading in and out, and I go, mate, you actually would have been up if you just didn't touch anything. And I think, Ben, you had this conversation with a member recently. It was like, oh, I'm down. And you're like, yeah, it's because you keep moving in and out of stuff. If you just stayed with what you put in after you had your strategy session, you were fine. You're actually up on that portfolio, but you've done some other random stuff, and that's not what we suggested. So I think that overtrading, undertrading, that I know I'm moving down the list out of order, but that's fine. Following random influencers and letting them pull you into stuff is really problematic. There are only a few influencers, I'd say, who I really listen to, and not because they're influencers, because I know they make money in other places and they have good views of the world that I find really useful. Then I think that's fine. Being all in on a single asset is really problematic. So even if you're hyper bullish on Bitcoin, which is great, and we have a lot of belief in that, we would never say put every single dollar you have to your name into one particular asset. That's just bad investment strategy. It's like yourself, Ben, you're getting into property. I hold property, I hold shares, either to go, hey, it's all on this particular coin, where you start to get almost degenerate type behavior, where you go like you're betting literally the farm and your family's future on this, and it's just reckless. You were going to say something there, Ben?
100%. Yeah. And that's the hard part around, watching. And usually it's not until you go through the pain that you realize how important it actually is, being, proactive is the solution in crypto, because otherwise it can be multiple years. You have to wait for that opportunity to come back. Yes. Being, proactive is the thing that is the difference.
Correct. Yeah. And then, just quickly on the others, that panic selling during corrections we've spoken about, but that's happening as we speak. We're seeing people dump in on the market. We're also seeing the retail investors getting purged out. So when institutional investors come in, they're playing the long game, and to get those long-term gains, they have to purge the retail investors. And this is not new information, but it's where the money is made. Even you're listening to Palantir's CEO interviewed, and he said, we've got to expend some of the non-believers and absorb their capital. I go, gee, like he just said that. I can't believe he said that in a press release, but that's the truth. Not having an exit strategy is absolutely problematic, and not exit as in you're never in crypto again, but how do you exit a certain position is what we're talking about. And how do you capitalize on the goal, the opportunity, and turn that into realizing your goal? Ignoring tax implications is really problematic. I think I have to say a lot of our high net wealths are pretty good at considering tax, because they realize that this is part of a broader tax strategy. And then, that emotional decision making. And it can be as innocuous as someone walking up to you or mate messaging and going, hey, again, I had a mate message me earlier this week, and he said he's getting out of everything. And I said, what do you mean everything? Like crypto? And he's like, no, I've sold everything and I'm just holding cash. And I was like, oh, here we go. Peak fear has entered the market. And this is a guy who did his MBA with me. And I go, man, like you've got a very high degree, and you work, and he works for government. I go, if this is the thinking that's happening, I go, we're all doomed. But that's what happens. And it'd be very easy for me to fall victim to that thinking.
100%. And that goes really back to that point I made at the start, was the information overload. Yes. All right. 57% cite information overload as the number one challenge. Right. 100%. Most investors on average have 20 different sources. 15 hours per week consuming crypto content. More information doesn't lead to better decisions. It just creates analysis paralysis. All right. And that's that 3-pillar framework we just spoke about, cuts through the noise and gives you exactly what you need to signal and drive the decisions. All right. And that's what the signal and the noise is. All right. You want to avoid the Twitter hype, avoid the Reddit, avoid the YouTube price predictions, the Telegram pump groups, the news headlines, right? And focus on, the data, the ETF flows, the MVRV ratio, all right, the Fed policy, institutional growth, on-chain accumulation trends. This is the most important. All right. And that window of opportunity, like right now, we're in that historical buying opportunity. Fear is high in the market. And this is not the first time it's happened. Actually, in fact, it happens sometimes 10 to 15 times every single bull market. All right. And this there's nothing fundamentally changing with crypto. We're just seeing, retail really panic. We're seeing macro uncertainty, and that is the time to take advantage. All right. And, our research is giving us indication that the top of this cycle will be somewhere middle to late next year. So you've got that opportunity now to really position, take advantage, or again, you're going to be sitting on the sidelines waiting for the market to come back and run up, and then you again reacting. All right. Money is made in these periods when there's a wealth transfer from the weak hands to the strong hands. Happens every single time. All right. So that's what I want to kind of talk about now, and like how really, the two ways you can move forward on this, because, the DIY approach really, like, doing it on your own is where you're at currently or where you're going to be, which is drowning in all this information, continuously trying to figure out what's relevant for you, no accountability or support, making those emotional decisions. All right. And then, potentially clicking the wrong button and getting scammed, potentially not taking profits at the right time and losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, potentially not getting into those right assets and just getting in when the retail do, late again, and always being late to the party. All right. The other path is really what we've built out that I wish I had when I started as an investor. And it's the exact process that I use personally and all of our team does. And that's a systematic framework that has data-driven decisions where we have one-on-one sessions to understand where you're at in your journey and not just give you cookie cutter sort of information. All right. And that's the platinum advantage. All right. And ultimately it's not for everyone. Really, it's a 12-month program where you get direct access to me, the complete 3-pillar framework, a community of sophisticated investors, and the one-on-one support to help you make sure you're getting the right information and guiding you through the process. So it's ultimately for you if you're looking to invest at least $100,000 over the next 12 months. All right. So if you're looking to put in more than $100,000 over the next 12 months, this is for you, or plan to. Our clients range anywhere between 100,000 and top clients got over 100 million in crypto. If you're really serious about, systematic wealth building and you're just tired of guessing and the information overload and you're wanting to have the confidence and support of that execution and you value expert guidance and accountability, it's not good for you. All right. And it's not going to be a good fit if you're looking to get rich quick, if you're wanting to just become a day trader or gamble with your crypto, if you're not really willing to follow a system, all right, and you expect results without any execution, or if you have a smaller amount to invest. We do have another program I can share, but ultimately the platinum is those that are, more serious at actually getting in the market. But we limit who we work with and we limit the amount of people we work with. And the reason we do this, because we've tested this over the last 5.5 years, we currently have about 330 of our clients in our sophisticated program, is that, we focus on quality over quantity. We cannot do personalized support with every single member. It doesn't work like that. It's an intimate community, not a mass course. All right. And we want to make sure that every single member has that edge by limiting the size of people that we work with. All right. And my involvement, I speak with every single member. I work on our weekly calls, our monthly calls. We have one-on-one sessions. We can't infinitely scale my time, by having thousands of people. It just doesn't work like that. So the support system, we're here with you every step of the way. And the reason we do this is because we're incentivized to make sure you guys win. Because we don't do affiliate links and we don't do paid promotion. We're independent. All right. So, I work on a one-on-one basis. When you join or get approved, we have a chat. You have a one-on-one client success manager that gives you support all year round. You have one-on-one sessions with our head of education. You have the entire platinum team where you get priority support from all of our analysts. Right. And then you have that community level support and insights in our WhatsApp community and our in-person events. And the reason why we create a Collective Platinum, and by the way, all of this is by application. So you can't actually just go and join this. This is enrollment only. So Reese and DT, the people you'll speak to if you're interested. But really what you get is a personalized handheld experience to make sure you're getting the support you need as to where you're at right now. All right. And that's very different versus where you were, if you're just listening to a course online. Mike, we've got another program that's less than 100,000, mate. We make that pretty clear. It's on the landing page that this is for sophisticated investors, but we do have something if you're not a sophisticated investor. So we've got one-on-one private educational sessions you get when you join, right, to get that strategy. We have your client success manager that's there all year round to have support and make sure you get everything you need. You join our research platform. So all the research I just shared, to get access to all of our updates and insights on across our altcoin alerts, our Platinum WhatsApp community. So that's where you get all the high signal buys and sells. So all the alerts, whenever I buy something, you can follow that. And anytime we exit, you get that alert in your WhatsApp. And then you get access to our analysts, all year round, 24/7. We also have 2 in-person events. Our next one is actually in Sydney on Thursday. We've got about 160 clients coming in for our in-person mastermind, which is going to be an epic day. I've heard from the team that if anyone's really, interested in joining and coming to that, we can open up a couple of spaces. We just got back from Miami where we did our Miami mastermind. So you get 2 tickets to that every single year. All the portfolio alerts I mentioned. And then you also get the weekly calls and monthly calls where we do deep dives. We do bonus sessions. We just had one today talking about income and generating income. All really, there to support, no matter what part of the journey you're on. And some of the clients ultimately that, we've had some great success with is purely around those people that were coming in with information overload, that were trying to do it on their own, all right? And really were just making a lot of mistakes that we could really clean up with that process. Chris, he paid off his mortgage, so his house, and is now debt-free using that exit strategy we spoke about. And now he's living debt-free with his Bitcoin profits. He talked about, he managed to get it out of his Bitcoin, some of his Bitcoin positions, and now he's accumulated more coins for the remainder of this cycle, all right, through our guidance. Brady made 7,000 to 8,000 from a single airdrop. When airdrops were really hot, we were sharing those opportunities when they come up. And now he just gets access to all the opportunities that come through our desk. We share back with our clients. Jaden, he talks about this is his 3rd bull run with us. So he's been with us for 3 bull runs, which is, pretty awesome. Just talks about, the team that we have and the knowledge is by far the best in the world. And he's bagged profits every single bull run and made life-changing amounts of money. All right. And that's one of, heaps of Trustpilot reviews you guys can go check out later. Joe recently joined us. He was down. He was actually down in his portfolio when he joined us, because he was sitting on altcoins that were down. And ultimately we sat down with him and, he had some quite, big losses. And the biggest thing for him was being able to turn that around, given the research that we had and giving him confidence, so being able to sleep easier at night, not have the stress of, trying to figure out what altcoins to buy and sell. And now he's up and in profit in just the first 4 months of joining us, which is really cool. We had Bill that I spoke about. He made 120,000 in profit from just one of the WhatsApp alerts in the community. He's a property investor. Again, just being able to cut through the noise and being able to do that, very fast is a big thing. Not having to sit back and let it sit and watch all these videos. You can kind of get that in the WhatsApp, which is really cool. So the membership for Platinum is $15,000 per year at the moment. We actually are closing this cohort in 2 days. So the next 48 hours, this cohort will be closed. Every time we've started a new cohort, we increase the price. We're not sure if we're going to do that, but historically, we have just to manage the amount of demand we have. So for $15,000, essentially, the way we think about it is it's a insurance policy to the downside, and also gives you the best data, research, accountability, coaching, and guidance to maximize the upside. So if you have a $100,000 portfolio, and we help you improve your portfolio by 50% over 12 months, all right, you're going to make an additional $50,000 in gains, all right? Versus on the DIY approach, what many members, found that when they joined us after doing it on their own, is one bad emotional decision can cost you 20 to 40%, can potentially cost you 20,000, 40,000. I've had members that, have joined us after being scammed out of all their money. It's crazy, right? So one mistake or capturing one opportunity can make all the difference. And if you think about it, if you've got a $200,000 portfolio, it's essentially 7.5% fee. It's a flat rate. All right. And we don't take any clip of the upside. Now the proof is, in the pudding, I guess. There's so many reviews, and you guys can search this up online. If you want to check it out. If you don't have $100,000 in crypto, again, I've got a program I want to share with you guys in a second. We've just launched, but we're one of the top rated education companies in crypto. Countless case studies. And a lot of people think that, they don't have time for crypto, or they don't have time for joining a group. And I get that. But the big thing that we have worked on, and the reason we have this platinum group is that it's the number one reason people join us, is that, successful professionals, executives like you guys don't have hours and hours and hours to spend dedicating to research. All of our high performing clients really don't have a lot of time when they join us. So what we have found that works is that having a program that's designed to, save you time, cut through the noise. We do the heavy lifting in the research, and you just get the critical insights. So you can spend 2 or 3 hours a month updating your portfolio, right? And then you get the clear, actionable, insights. The other one is like, what if I lose money? As a question I get. Well, crypto, is very volatile, and no one wants to invest in anything and see it fail. But I think the big one is that crypto being volatile is the opportunity. All right, and no one can eliminate all the risk in crypto, because there's going to be wins, there's going to be losses, but through the execution, the process, the frameworks, and the data that we have, it allows you to reduce that risk and allow you to build the upside. Right, and that's where a lot of our members report just feeling more confident and less stress has been a big part. Now, for a lot of you that are thinking maybe $15,000 is a lot of money, the question that you got to ask yourself is, if you had, your portfolio managing around, let's say you had $200,000, do you think on an ROI perspective that 7.5% of your holdings, as an example, over the course of 12 months could be an insurance policy against the downside risk or the upside potential that we've been able to track through our investments? All right. And the reason why we have this price is ultimately we can't work with everyone. All right. We can only work with a certain few people. But the opportunity that we have when we do work with our clients is so great that it allows us to really put in a lot of time and effort, because that's the way this business works. If we don't do a good job, this business doesn't work, because we don't make any money any other way. All right. So that's kind of the big part on that front. So we'll get into questions in a second, but I really want to just share that if you are interested, that systematic approach is the most important part of any of our programs. And when you join, you essentially get, in that first week, client success onboarding call. You get your one-on-one sessions. You get a strategy session with me. All right, and then you join those weekly market calls. You get access to the research platform, and you've got all the community, the WhatsApp, the events, and everything to support you along the journey. All right, and that's been the most important part. So if you're interested in that, it is by application only. The way it works is you're going to jump over to the link we're going to put in the chat. I'm going to go over this landing page, which kind of just downloads and showcases to you guys everything that I just mentioned. You will jump on a call with our team. Now, Reese and David that you guys spoke about at the start, that's who you'll speak with. Now, this is an application call. It's not a sales call. It's not about you having to have that decision made up already. It's more about understanding if it's a good fit for you, it's a good fit for us. Everything I just mentioned there is included in the membership. Now, in the next 48 hours, as I mentioned, the cohort's going to shut. So you've basically got 48 hours if you're interested to book a call. And then we're going to be closing that cohort because we're at our 150 person capacity. And then we're going to be starting a new cohort up in the coming weeks. So if you guys are interested, the next 48 hours is going to be the best opportunity to get involved and get started. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting, potentially into the new year. And potentially the higher pricing as well. All right. So you can jump over there, book in a call. Make sure you fill this out correctly. So in the Calendly that you'll fill out, let us know how much you're looking to invest over the next 12 months. And let us know your goals, your challenges, so we can kind of understand if this is going to be a good fit. Because if it's not a good fit, we're just going to cancel the call, because there's no point having our team sort of just wasting their time with people that are, not serious about wanting to join the program. But if you are interested, make sure you go fill it out. Go through the times, pick a time that suits you. It's going to be a video call. You'll sit with the team, ask some questions. All right. They're going to ask you some questions and build out that personalized game plan. And you can ask some questions of them to see if it's a good fit as well. All right. So anything else I missed on that, Trav, that you wanted to?
No, I think if you do want to briefly maybe mention the accelerator, that might be useful.
Yes.
There's quite a few questions in the chat about, other people who have smaller portfolios, which is not a problem. We do cater to that.
Yes. So we have what's called our Pro Membership Accelerator. So this is a new product we recently launched. It's currently on the wait list. So if you go over to, actually, I believe it might actually be now available. So I'm going to show you guys. The Accelerator is a 4-week live coaching program. And the 4-week live coaching program is essentially a live cohort where you join me and the team. The first week is around building your portfolio, the market positioning. This is for those of you that have less than $100,000 in crypto, or you're not quite ready to jump in and make that decision right away for platinum. And we're going to get you from where you are now to, in 4 weeks' time, having your portfolio allocation right, having the operating system, working with Travis, working with me on the advanced strategies, building your exit plan. All right. And this is a part of a 4-week live program. It's a video call. You get all the replays if you can't make it live. We have a community that you go through as a cohort. And then at the end of that, you also get 12 months access to our research platform included in this. So if you are interested in that, I would also go over to the platinum page that we've got in the description, book in a call. All right. And these guys can talk you through what the accelerator looks like. Now, this has just been launched on waitlist. It's currently still on waitlist. We've had a huge amount of demand, and we only take 25 people per cohort. So if you are interested in this, the feedback's been, pretty awesome in terms of the group that we took in as a beta group. A lot of people just talking about, how, the being able to meet the team, understanding where to spend time, cutting through the, the noise, getting the lessons, super important and super informative. So feel free to go over, check that out. I would also go to the platinum page. All right. You've got the Pro Accelerator button here. You can click on, and that'll take you to the Pro Accelerator page. If you want to just chat to the team as well, feel free to just click the click here to book a call, and these guys can have a chat to you about both programs and see what's best for you. Now let's talk some Q&A. There's been a lot of questions being thrown in. Feel free to throw in your questions, folks, about anything that we just mentioned about crypto, around our memberships. Travis and I are here to help. We'll get into it. What do we got? Okay, let's go. So EK, do you have anything for smaller portfolios? Yeah, the accelerator is going to be perfect for you. So you can head over to, as I said, that page that I just mentioned, the platinum page, and that's going to give you everything you need. You can click on either the accelerator button there, or again, you just book in a call and the team can have a chat to see, what's a good fit for both of you. Duncan, out of the 1,100 members, how many have been a member for greater than 2 years? I'd say close to. We launched the Platinum program 2 and a bit years ago, so we've got 320 in there. The retention rate for Platinum at the moment is around 70%, so we have about 7 out of 10 that renew for a second year. And the rest of the members, the other 800, have been with us anywhere from a year to 5 years. Some members have been with us since the start. So the feedback's been phenomenal. We continue to reinvest. Yeah.
The average tenure across the combined 1,100 is closer to the 3-ish year mark.
Yeah. David, so the cost of the Platinum program is $15,000. That's the personalized support that I just mentioned that we go through. The accelerator, at the moment, we've got it launched at $2,000 US. So it's $3,000 Australian. There's currently a wait list for that. But you can also just book in a call if you want to cut through that wait list. You can book a call, and the guys can have a chat to you about that. The accelerator, there's a problem with the accelerator. Let me just give you a different link. We're getting a lot of people trying to join the accelerator, so I might give you this different link. Yeah, so this one here, I'm going to put this link in the chat. So this is the accelerator page. I'll put that here. So the accelerator page, folks, sorry, I've just put that link in the chat. If you can see that there. So if you click on that link there, that'll take you to the accelerator page. So the accelerator page is the 4-week program I just mentioned about. You can go to that page. If you want to, you can sign up directly by clicking the button at the top, all right? And that's kind of talk about the $2,000 launch offer we have. Alternatively, if you want, you can just book in a call with our team and we can have a chat if you're confused about which product's going to be best for you.
Yeah, and that's worth mentioning. That is the Black Friday promo. So I think was it next week? I think it goes back up to 5K.
Yeah, so it's 5K down to 2K for the Black Friday and launch sale. And essentially, as I mentioned, there's only 25 per cohort. So the first once the cohort gets filled, then we just push you into the second cohorts.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, yeah, we've also got the Platinum page for those that are interested in chatting directly to the team about Platinum. You can just go over there. Keep sending your questions, folks. We'll get into question time. And there's the Platinum page there. Okay. What do we got? Lots of questions coming in. Just want to quickly tick this off. I'm sure that your research is robust. Has there been any instance when your research has backfired? Yeah, like, I mean, we never get them 100% right. I think the biggest thing is being able to understand when the thesis is wrong and then when to rotate out of those positions. You know, we rotated out of, you know, back in the start of the year in February, gaming projects, RWAs, AI projects, because we didn't feel the cycle was playing out and how we thought. I sold a few of those projects down 20%. And looking back, those projects are now down 80, 90%. All right. And, you know, I took that loss and rotated into Hyperliquid, which is a layer one project that we were excited about. And that's since did a 3x. So, you know, the research is the research until it changes. And that's kind of the most important part, that, you know, to understand that it does change. And that's really important that you update your thesis. Okay, let's get some questions going here. What do we got? Okay, would it be good to talk about exiting and where to exit to? USD, fiat, BTC? Yeah, it really depends. I like to go to stable coins to reinvest in the next bear market. That's the big opportunity, to take profits and then reinvest in the next lows. But also, I'm taking. I just rebalanced my portfolio yesterday that I shared with members to buy more Bitcoin yesterday, and exit out of some of my altcoin positions. So it kind of depends. But I like to accumulate Bitcoin for the long term, and then you use, you know, stable coins in the short term. Does the accelerator program provide access to the videos for 12 months? Yes, it does. So the accelerator also gives the 4-week live coaching program and then access to 12 months of the research. However, it doesn't go all the things I mentioned about Platinum. The Platinum program, you know, includes one-on-one sessions, your client success manager, WhatsApp group, in-person events. We don't do that with our accelerator clients. It's purely just 4 weeks of live video calls in a group setting, and then you get access to the research after that.
Yep.
Where does one invest? No, we don't have our own platform. We provide you the best platform that we think is the best fit for you, and then you execute the transactions. Sid, clearly, are we in a bear market already? Well, the conditions right now are from the previous 12 months down considerably in terms of a correction. In terms of reallocating and buying now, this is, if you're new to crypto, which I know a lot of you are, this is a perfect time to be accumulating. However, if you've been in the space for a little while, and you're down in your portfolio, now is definitely time to be, reconsidering and rebalancing the portfolio to ensure that you're best positioned for the next leg. Because, the cycle has definitely played out differently this year, and, it's been led by this sort of institutional money, which is important. Duncan, excuse this question, but I'm new to all this. How many early access opportunities are presented weekly, monthly? Just trying to view on how does someone deal with the opportunities within resource constraints. Yeah, so we don't share throw alerts out to you, Duncan. We might have a new opportunity once a month, once every 2 months. We haven't, whenever we put out an opportunity, it's something we're investing in ourselves. So Hyperliquid we put out a few months ago, Syrup we put out, Rect was one we put out maybe 2 months ago. So it might be one a month, one every 2 months. In different market conditions, it may be more. In different market conditions, it might be less. But anything we share, we're investing in ourselves. So if you're time constrained, it can be very helpful. Awesome. Lots of questions coming in, folks. Going to try and get to as many as we can here. Just a reminder, if you're wanting to chat to the team about the programs, whether you're wanting to do accelerator, platinum, you're not really sure, or you just want to chat to the team about joining this cohort, you can just click the book a call over on that page, book it in, and you'll speak with DT and Reese. We'll also send the link afterwards, so you've got a couple of days to decide if you want to book a call. Lots of questions coming in. I'm going to go back to the ones that have been coming in. What do you advise around digital custody in Australia? So digital custody for me is you've got two options. You either go with a major exchange like Coinbase, SwiftX, CoinSpot, or you move it to a cold wallet. And for me, like moving your assets to a cold wallet is really important. It's where a lot of people can get scammed if you have your assets on a digital exchange. So you want to have the right security in mind. It's something we take all of our clients through, where we have our own security center, so we can kind of make sure you don't get scammed, and you have the right security lined up. And then with your client success manager, we introduce you with the right exchange. We even do email introductions with the exchange we feel you should go to based on your strategy. Has altcoin season passed? I don't believe altcoin season has even come this stage. If you look at the altcoin returns, most altcoins are down year to date. Really, it's been a couple of those that have performed well. Two of those of which that we've shared that I went through the presentation, Syrup and Hyperliquid, have outperformed. But most altcoins, have not fired this cycle, and it's why we've been quite defensive in our portfolio. Natan, yeah, DCA, so dollar cost averaging, it's definitely like really important in terms of adding money into the market. We have a lot of resources around this, around dollar cost averaging. Really important to get an average buy price, and it's a good way to kind of level out your entries and exits. Also, welcome to all the calls coming in. Great to see. We've got Ken. Welcome, Ken. We've got Ross. Looking forward to chatting. Ross. Christos. Welcome, mate. We've got Gary. Looking forward to chatting. Keep your questions coming in, folks. Just need to know what to do with some of my current layer ones. Sell and move to BTC. Yeah, a lot of the layer ones are very over saturated. I actually sold one of my layer ones yesterday and sold to BTC. So you get to see all of my updates and my portfolio changes here. Obviously, I'm not going to click that and show you guys based on that being a big member benefit. So if you're interested, that's exactly what we share. What else we got? For the end, what if any guidance is provided around tax-effective structures? So depending on what tax jurisdiction you're in, it can be different. I personally like to use a trust in Australia. I know a lot of our clients in the US use self-directed IRAs and different things. Really depends. Something we can help with, and we have tax professionals to guide you. If you're investing and you have a company, investing off your balance sheet as well can be tax effective. Question for the end. How can I decide what early access opportunities ties to pursue? So this is exactly what we do, Duncan. So we're not like a group that just puts out a bunch of alerts and you got to go pick and choose. We're actually just sharing what we're investing ourselves. So that's exactly where I'll showcase to what I'm investing in. And then you can follow along. This is not a tidal wave of new coins. Our portfolio allocation is really important. So anything we put out is something that we're investing in ourselves. Tanya, so question for the end, insurance on our investment staking. So you can get insurance on storage on different places like Coinbase. Staking is a big part of our program. We literally had a platinum bonus session today around actually, generating an income and earning yield. So, our clients are making money on the way up and the way down. So that's exactly what we share with our members. So if you're interested, that's a part of the platinum program, not the accelerator. Can you claim the education fees on tax? Yes. So for most people, you can. Again, you need to check with your tax agent. For most people, your SMSF, you can sign up and claim under a company. As long as it's an education claim, you can claim. Just check with your tax agent. Thank you, EK. Thanks for coming. Daz, sorry, man, I missed it. Capital letters made me see your message. Ben, you didn't answer. Are we now in a bear market? Just crossed. Yeah. So in terms of the bull market trend, we've definitely broken lower. So this was an update I made to our clients yesterday that, I think we've got a little bit of short-term pain and volatility to come. So, we've been positioning our portfolio over the last 6 months to reduce our risk. We're actually majority, close to, 100% now Bitcoin in our portfolio based on the market. And short-term, I think we're in for a little bit of choppiness. But as I mentioned at the start, heading into next year, my medium to long-term outlook hasn't changed. Sid, so have you advised your current members to exit, say, a month ago or two and start accumulating again now? No. So what we have, and again, when we share what we're doing with our portfolio, we've been very risk off this year. In fact, I reduced my altcoin allocation to 5 altcoins and been very consistent in the fact that this cycle is playing out very differently, and the 4-year cycle and things like that. So yeah, yesterday we advised and updated a research piece around selling down a couple of positions and trimming altcoin positions based on where we are now. And that's been a consistent message over the last 6 months. So, we've actually been outperforming this cycle, which has been really positive. Just try to look for booking a call for the pro member. Can you point to how to register for this or book a call, please? Yeah, so to book a call, you need to jump over to the Platinum link. So that's this one here. So in the Platinum area, this is where you can book a call. This is, you can book this for both Platinum and Accelerator if you're unsure. So you can book a call. Just make sure you fill it out appropriately so we can understand where your position is. And then the team can help you decide on which product's best. Lots of calls coming in, which is great to see. Looking forward to chatting, everyone. Again, so just a reminder, so this cohort's going to be shutting. We're basically at the capacity now, but we're going to let for the next 48 hours the final number of people join. So if you are interested, I'd recommend jumping over to book in a call and then chat with the team. And then, yeah, if it's all looking good and you're ready to go and you get approved, we'll add you in that cohort and they'll be shutting that in a couple of days. Do you believe we're going to see altcoin season sometime next year? I believe we're going to have a version of altcoin season, but as I mentioned at the start, a lot of the liquidity right now is coming from institutions and not retail. Institutions don't buy meme coins. So, you've got to be very selective on what you're buying, and that's where we've been very positioned to fundamental projects this cycle. And that's where we've, been able to perform really well. But if you're holding altcoins from the previous, bull markets or previous years, you're going to be feeling a lot of pain. And that's really just, the strategy is not the same. You've got to be updating that. Natan, advice for young lads in crypto like me. I'm 20. So yeah, my sister is similar age, man. I recommended to her, just use Bitcoin as a savings account. I'd be just accumulating Bitcoin with the money you have as a savings account. Still have cash. You want to have an emergency fund, but Bitcoin for me is the asset you want to be accumulating, for the long term. Travis, what other things are you kind of seeing with, new clients coming in or just at the moment that, seeing mistakes that people might be making?
I think their reason for coming in now is often not clear, or exiting now is not clear. That's one of the big challenges I'm seeing. So they're about to make a movement either in or out, but they can't clearly articulate to me why now is the time. And often there's fear, there's not a need underneath that. So if there's a need because you need to draw down on it or because you've realized the goal, that's one thing. But if you're going, I think I got to get out, or I think I need to change coins, or I need help and this isn't working, where is that coming from? And understanding the fear underneath it and why that's happening is often irrational and driven by some sort of information or something they've been reading or something someone said to them. So again, I think that pattern of I'm just reacting to what's happening around me in my environment rather than actually I need to do something now for a specific reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also not realizing what numbers mean has been deeply problematic. There's a couple of people I've coached, one in particular who wanted to do a home renovation. I think I mentioned one of those, but this is a different one. And she was quite up, has been in Bitcoin a long time, and just said, oh, I'm not sure I should draw down. And so we did the math, and the math was actually not that bad. She only needed to pull down 15% of her profits to do the things she needed. But this fear of taking any money out of it was paralytic. And then when we talked about the yields, she said, it's about 2 years and you'll have that money replenished. I was like, oh, I hadn't even considered that I'm still growing when I take money out. It's like, yes, you're just not growing with that 15% that you've taken out.
Mm.
So again, I think just looking at the numbers and really understanding what is actually going on is absolutely critical.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, just in terms of where we are in the cycle right now and, people worrying, just in terms of some of the feedback we're getting, literally in the last few days, if I, go right back to the start, if you missed this, was just around we've got, our clients that are, taking profits, during these periods and achieving their goals. That's ultimately what you guys are here for, building wealth, offsetting inflation and, leaving a legacy. We had one of our clients sold 85% of his Bitcoin. This was like 2 or 3 days ago, bought an apartment in Greece. Or, another client that, has a dominant Bitcoin portfolio because we went risk off months ago with select altcoins and he'd be way down without this advice. So he's very happy with the platinum experience. Or another one who rolled 50% of his physical gold into cash and he's now redeploying based on our guidance. Thanks so much, Ben and Simon, the whole collective team, for your guidance and support. There's no way I would have had the discipline and intentional fortitude to navigate this phase of the bull market without it, deploying into Bitcoin. So it's about portfolio allocation is just as important, and timing. All right. That's where a lot of people go wrong. And welcome to all the calls. There's a lot of calls coming in. So welcome. We got Sashi, welcome. We've got Duncan, welcome. Lauren, Teresa, welcome, Teresa. We've got Gary, Christos, Ross. We've got Ken, Tony. The boy's going to be busy. So as I said, if you're interested in this, you can book in a call. It's not a decide now sort of thing. They're going to educate you, understand where you're at, get a feeling of what your challenges are, your goals are, and then point you in the right direction and build a personalized plan based on the fact of that matter. Walter, I'm not sure what your question is. You're just typing XRP. If you want to send in an appropriate question, I'll be happy to help. Jacob, do you think ETH can still smash through 5K this year or early next year? I don't think we're going to see a huge run up on alts in the early stage, Jacob. Like I made an update to our clients yesterday. I think we've got a little bit of short-term volatility ahead. So yeah, I think more, what we're waiting for is liquidity that's going to be driving back into next year. So I think now's a good time to accumulate. Walter, who sent 5 questions in the space of 3 minutes around XRP. What is your take? XRP. XRP is a project that I think will do well in a retail cycle. I think their ambitions of the project is very high. I think that it will take a lot of growth for the project to achieve their mission of being the payment bridge that it's wanting to be. For me, the risk to reward at the size of the market cap just isn't something I'm very interested in investing in personally. But I do think it will do well in a retail market, which we are not in right now. So, for the clients that have a lot of XRP, my point of view is that I think it will do well, but you're gonna have to wait and hold through a period of time of volatility to get there. Can you discuss the options for tax mitigation for the use of borrowing against your crypto, and how would you do that? Yeah, so there's a couple of players you can utilize, in the space. Block Earner's one in Australia. There's a few different ones in the US that we work with. So that's where you can essentially, borrow against your crypto. You need to. It's a bit of a gray area depending on what jurisdiction. So you need to have the right tax support. But if you do it right, you can do it in a way that mitigates not having a tax burden on a CGT perspective. So again, something we help with. We had a tax expert coming through the other day. So all of our clients get access to all of our weekly calls and everything, and including our all the recordings. So you can jump in here and get access to all the bonus sessions where we had a tax expert come through the other day. And we got a full wealth series, Trav, don't we, of upcoming bonus sessions. I'm not sure if the team have added that here.
We do. They're probably not in there at the moment, but yeah, there's we've got three upcoming sessions. One will be a deep dive into the psychological side of it, but the other two, one is on property and understanding the opportunity to diversify further into the property sector and how crypto can play into that. And then the other one is on a little bit more of the broader wealth spectrum. So we don't only focus on the crypto side, we focus on crypto as part of an overall wealth strategy, which is something a lot of companies miss, unfortunately. We do have Ravi who's missing from there too, but now confirmed for February.
Yeah, cool. So we've got the wealth series that we provide. So we're not only just about crypto, but really we help sophisticators think about growing your portfolio. So we had a yield and income session today that you get access to as a replay if you join. We've got Adam Morse coming on. He's coming on in a couple of weeks. He's a super high net worth advisor for family offices, talking about structuring, tax efficiency, and long-term wealth preservation. Travis is talking about the performance and mindset, setting yourself up for 2026. And then we've got Ravi, who's a property investor, who's coming on as well to speak. And this all leads into we actually have a 3-day retreat in March, Trav, with us, like our investors that are here for a second year. So you have to join for a second year and you can come on our retreat.
100%. Yeah. And again, on that one, day one is a crypto deep dive, getting into the portfolio. We've got some great guest speakers. I think we've got 5 or 6 confirmed at this stage as of yesterday. We've got people, who've got some pretty life-changing stories. And this isn't people who are even just clients of ours. They're multiple business owners or people who are high net wealths talking about their journey and bringing those insights into it. And then day 2 is focused around overall well-being, wealth, and building overall financial lifestyle. So really interesting opportunity to blend those two together. And we're at about, I think, 2/3 occupancy against that at the moment. So still some opportunity to get in on that.
And just as a reminder, this is the first month, but essentially we're trying to do this within the first week. So you have your onboarding call as soon as you're approved. You have your one-on-one sessions with the team, with your client success manager. You have a strategy roundtable with me. You're getting in the weekly briefing calls, the office hours. You get access to the research platform, the monthly sessions, get all the portfolio alerts. You have your one-on-one education session, and then access to our Inner Circle WhatsApp community. We have our 2 strategy sessions every year. So we've got a couple of spots we're opening up to anyone that's approved and joins. The next event we've got in Sydney is literally on Thursday. I think we're at 160 clients, I think, Trav.
Yeah, almost 170 as of this morning. Yeah.
170, yeah. So we've got 170 clients that are coming in for that. So yeah, it's going to be epic. We do a full day of strategy workshops. And this is some images of that from our last event. So this was in Melbourne just a couple of months ago. This one's going to be even bigger. We do round tables, guest speakers. We've got Checkmate, one of our leading on-chain analysts coming in. You get to meet with other clients. So this is a platinum-only event. Yeah,
we've also got the evening cocktail event too, which is a once-a-year thing for us. But we've got about 35 members registered for that, including some guests. So again, opportunity to mingle with some other high net wealths who have gone through the journey. Some of these people have been around for probably as long as you have been in terms of crypto cycles, but also have seen it in other areas like property, business, etc., and bring those insights into the room. And I think we've worked pretty damn hard to curate a community that is very supportive, and we don't tolerate people who are jerks or who are trying to shill other people. We don't do any of that. So it's all about people just supporting each other on their wealth journey. So that's happening as well. Ben's got that up there on the screen, and that's happening on Thursday as well.
Yeah, and one of the cool things that we do, like at these events, you can actually bring along your partner. So if your partner is not into crypto, you can actually bring them along. So we do these twice a year, 2 in Miami in the middle of the year and the end of the year, and 2 in Sydney and Melbourne in the middle of the year, end of the year. If you can't make it live, so we record them. We have a full production team. We record very high quality recordings of the sessions, and you can watch them back afterwards. So that'll be going up straight up after the fact. Great to see all the calls coming in. We'll answer the last few questions. We've got Louise just booked in. Welcome, Louise. Nico from Dubai. We've got Sashi from Australia. We've got Duncan from Australia. Lauren, Teresa. Wow, lots of calls coming in. Fantastic, guys. Keep them coming. As I said, you've got 48 hours, and then after that, we'll close the cohort. So if you're interested, feel free to jump over. Otherwise, no worries. What are the wealth strategies that you cover? Yeah, so primarily, it's everything in terms of, whatever's most interested of our clients, but ultimately kind of what we're interested in, which is, whether it be stocks, property, tax, health, freedom, like, getting a little bit more beyond just, financial freedom and kind of like time freedom and things like that. So that's really awesome. So we roll those out regularly, and they come out every month. Sorry, lots of questions about syrup. Yeah, I'm still holding syrup, guys. I'm very, very bullish on syrup. So yeah, I have already taken profits on it, as I mentioned a few months ago, but yeah, still very bullish on syrup. However, again, in the short term, we're looking at a pretty choppy sideways action. So you've got some decisions to make around just kind of like the buy price and, de-risking, and, that's all about portfolio allocation. And that's kind of what we've been through recently. So I just did a full update on my portfolio allocation, and the rebalancing to clients yesterday. So if you're interested, you can jump in and check that out if you join. Yeah, we recommend accountants. We actually have a partnership with Crypto Tax Australia. For those who are in Australia, you get a 30-minute free consultation with them. So we put you in touch with them. And then we've got some international partners we're bringing in. Yes, yeah, Crypto Tax Australia are our recommended tax providers. They're great.
And we'll be speaking in Sydney on Thursday. They'll be presenting. We do something that not a lot of others do called Platinum Circles, where our members get a chance to sit and share insights and speak with an expert who facilitates that. And Crypto Tax Australia will be there as one of the presenters. Again, there's no exchange of funds there, but the opportunity is just to put an expert in the room and give our members access, and we facilitate that and create the space. So it's a great opportunity.
Michael, we have relationships with, most of the OTC providers. So as an example, we have a partnership with SwiftX if you're in Australia, where we'll actually do an email introduction to their high net worth team. So you get like a personalized service, best rates, best fees. Kraken, if you're overseas, I like Kraken. If you're in the US, if you're in Europe, I like Kraken. They're kind of the major two. We've got a couple more minutes, folks. If there's any other questions, just a reminder that, we've got the Platinum program. We've got 48 hours where you can book in a call and speak to our team. You get the one-on-one sessions, Platinum Strategy Day passes. We'll add the recordings if you can't come on Thursday. And the two events, we're going to give you tickets anyway. You get access to our full research platform immediately, the WhatsApp circle. You get fast track at all the alerts, the weekly calls, the monthly calls, the strategy roundtable with me. And then if you're interested, we've got the Pro Membership Accelerator, which is a lower tier. If you've got less than $100,000 you're investing, it's a 4-week live program that are in cohorts, so maximum 25 people per cohort. And you get those modules live delivered to you, including 12 months access to the research platform. And that is a current launch offer that is $2,000 US. So you're going to save $3,000 there. And you're getting the bonus 12 months pro access for $5,000. So you're essentially getting, it's worth $8,000 really. You're getting for $2,000 as sort of that launch offer. So you check that out. Jeff, yes, my brain's running in different angles, mate. I just say some filler words. I need to stop. You're right. I need to get ready. I've got my big presentation on Saturday at the Australian Crypto Conference. We're doing a big keynote, so been preparing that presentation as well. Lots of presentations, Trav, at the moment. Everything's happening.
Yep. I think we got 4 or 5 this week across different venues. Okay,
as long as there's no other questions, we
wrap it up there.
Wrap it up there, folks. Thank you so much. And we look forward to speaking with everyone, Reese and David. We've got so many calls coming in. Welcome, Jeff. We've got Louise, Nico, Sashi, Duncan, Lauren, Teresa, Gary, Christos, Ross, Ken, Tony. Welcome, guys. The guys are looking forward to speaking with you and kind of just getting an understanding if you guys are a good fit. And we can share the insights and give you guys a personalized direction. Chris, is this what is the price? The Platinum program is $15,000 US. So we have 15,000 US there, and then the accelerator is $2,000 US, depending on where you guys want to fit into. This price historically, as I mentioned, so the reason why we've got cohorts is because we keep it very exclusive and limited. So we've got 48 hours and this cohort will close, and the next one, we've always increased the price every cohort. We're not sure if we'll do it this time. We'll see, but yeah, so we can maintain a really exclusive, high quality group. Marty, recommendations. I recommend SwiftX. In Australia, you've got CoinSpot as well. Really depends on what you're after. Kraken's good. Do platforms like Coinbase charge you to move your coins to a cold wallet? I don't know off the top of my head, Robert. They may have a withdrawal fee. I can't quite remember. Something we work with. Okay, we'll wrap up there. Thank you, everyone. Great session. Lovely to speak with all of you and spend some time. We went a little bit over. Natan, yes, 60 minutes. Went to 2 hours. We got chatting and yapping. Hopefully we could help answer a lot of your questions. And I will leave this link here for you guys that are interested in booking a call, we can check that out. Otherwise, jump on the accelerator if you're interested. The link's on that page as well. And we look forward to speaking with everyone on the calls very soon. Thank you, Trav. Great session.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.